Hey, how's it going? The mic wasn't on. Welcome to Minecraft. As you can see, I was going to do a Minecraft playthrough, so I've decided what time is better than the got the Caves and Cliffs update. I'm super excited for this playthrough, so live as usual, so I guess let's just get right into it. Got a cave right here. Let's check this thing out. I haven't seen the new update. Anything has changed. What is that? Oh, I don't know, but it gave me some sort of light. Oh, that's cool. So I might not have to do nearly as many like lamps or anything, or not lamps, torches. I might not have to place like 800 of them. It's all good, Star Wars. Don't worry about it, man. Yeah, this is pretty cool. It's pretty sick. I'm really liking the idea of like these different little things here that'll give me light so I can. Oh, that's a spawner. No. No. I'm doing it. I'm sorry, guys. This is gonna hurt me just as much as it'll hurt you. Yeah, the new update just came out today at about 10 a.m. Eastern Standard. Oh, damn it, you fucked that up. I was mining that. Now, let's see if there's... there's no torches. There's nothing really worth taking here. Okay, so I haven't seen too much of the new stuff yet. Just these, like, weird little glowing vine things. Sorry if I'm being, like, super quiet, guys. It's late here where I am, and... yeah, I'm just trying to keep my voice down for my family so that way they don't have any issues sleeping or nothing, but I've got a golden apple and a piece of bread. So that was totally worth almost getting my ass kicked by a spider. You won't be on that late, but you'll be on tomorrow. Alright, cool, man. I don't know if I'm going to be going live tomorrow or not. It depends on what my plans are. I know for a fact that I'm not going to be live Thursday, but I will be live either Friday or Saturday. So, yeah, let's get to building the house, getting our tools and everything. I've not played Minecraft in a very long time, so it feels kind of... how do I say this? It feels kind of odd playing it now, especially after not having played it for so long. Let's head over here. It looks like there's a somewhat open area. See if we can get on top of one of these trees real quick. Ow. Bro, I'm hyped for the next episode of the Bad Batch. So am I, man. I'm super excited. Oh, there's a village over there. Let's go ahead and raid them. See if we can find anything good. A new character is coming. Yeah, it's gotta be Rex, man. I think the person in that hologram in the transmission was definitely Maul. Sorry to those of you who I just spoiled the episode, but yeah. But yeah, I've heard, I definitely think that that's Maul, just because of the robes alone. The only other character that has robes like that is Luke, but that doesn't happen until long after the events of the Bad Batch. Emerald. Not gonna get me much, but I got it. Got some potatoes. We can already start farming. Blacksmith. Leather. We'll leave it. We don't need any of the leather. I don't think it's going to be Windu. I think Windu's gone for good, personally. I don't think there's any hope of him returning to any sort of Star Wars media, unless it's a Clone Wars era thing. I would love to see his own standalone series or movie or something of the sort. It's funny, there's never anything in there. The Battlefront 4 drawings are trash, but I like the idea for Windu. I haven't seen any of the Battlefront 3 drawings yet, so I'm going to keep my eye out for those and see if I can find them, but I definitely am looking forward to the release of the next Battlefront game. I hope EA is kind of in charge of it, and I hope they kind of learn from their mistakes with the second game and they don't make it pay to win off the bat and they kind of give us what we want. Which is very doubtable, but, you know, still gonna hold on to the hope that EA has changed their ways in terms of the Battlefront franchise, because I think they've learned that they're not gonna profit off of Star Wars fans. We're not gonna pay to win. We hate that shit. Which is why Battlefront 2 was so bad in the beginning days, and it was so disappointing to see that, because I installed it and played it for a while. Almost considered deleting it, and they fixed the game like just in time for me to decide, like, hey, maybe it's a good idea to stick around. Yeah, this Polar Crystal got smashed into his eye, leaving with his lightsabers. I've seen that thing. That's not a Battlefront drawing. That's fan art from a while ago. Somebody made that back when we still thought that Windu was going to be coming back in the Clone Wars, or not the Clone Wars, Rebels. Sorry, dude, you were definitely lied to. 'Cause I'm picturing that exact drawing right now. He's got all the, like, stuff, like all the burn around his eye and stuff. It's still a fantastic concept, and I'd love to see it put to action. Only by the right people, though, and by the right people, I mean Daddy Filoni. Right up here is where I'm going to build my house. Now, mind you guys, I'm terrible at building, so don't make fun of me too much. His lightsaber was the dark saber with the purple edges. Oh, I love those sabers. They look so damn cool. Bye. I don't want to play with you anymore. Revan has one of the coolest tilts in all of Star Wars media. That's just my personal opinion. I just really like it. It's super simplistic, but still has so much detail. The only thing I'd like to see Windu come back as is, like, a dark Jedi. Like, not like a gray Jedi where there's still a good guy, but, like, a dark Jedi, if you guys know what I'm talking about. If you've never heard of the concept, definitely look it up. We need this in the Kenobi show. Bro, I'd love to see a story arc where Windu hunts down Vader, and Vader just absolutely fucking annihilates Windu. Because if we're all being honest here, Windu would not have the slightest chance against Vader. No, get out. That's my bed now. Windu would not have the smallest bit of a chance, especially against Prime Vader. Prime Vader would rock Windu shit, bro. Not even joking. Like, Windu would get fucked up. Vader pre-suit would... I think I'd feel bad for Windu if he had to face off against pre-suit Vader. Because I think Vader in his prime with the suit would still absolutely kick the shit out of Mace Windu, personally. Vader's just so much more powerful, he's so much more knowledgeable. He's a lot smarter. He's a lot less... He carries himself better. Windu is a very arrogant Jedi. In the sense that he does clearly have an idea in his head that he's better than the Council. He's better than everybody on the Council. He has this idea in his head that he's more powerful than he really is, and I mean, that was kind of shown when he took Palpatine on head-on without trying to consult Yoda first or anything. He just decided to go and take the most powerful Sith Lord to ever grace the galaxy on by himself. He really did, if you think about it. I mean, it's only 7 minutes, but it's got such a profound impact on the entire galaxy. I mean, Windu deciding to take Palpatine on his own is the downfall of the Galactic Republic, if you really think about it. So I think if Windu had waited for the other Jedi Masters like Kenobi and Yoda and Ki-Adi-Mundi and Plo Koon, if he'd waited for them to return and had stayed with Anakin and consoled Anakin, instead of telling Anakin to go and hide from his destiny, I genuinely think the Republic would have survived and ended up thriving afterward. I think that would have been the downfall of Palpatine. I think the Empire never would have existed because it really was Palpatine purposely losing to Windu specifically to gain the trust of Anakin that really led to the downfall of the Jedi and the end of the Republic as we knew it, the end of the Republic in general, if I'm being honest. It really, and it's a sad moment too, because you see one of the most powerful Jedi ever really just absolutely get the shit smacked out of him with one swing. So many Jedi Masters that should have their own series, Windu included. I agree. I'd really love to see a Plo Koon-centered show, if I'm being honest. He's such an interesting Jedi. He was one of those Jedi that all the other Jedi would go to for advice. I mean, he was genuinely... Qui-Gon. I want a Qui-Gon show in the worst way possible, and we already know that Liam Neeson is completely and totally up for it. I mean, he straight up said in an interview if he was ever offered the opportunity to reprise the role of Qui-Gon Jinn, he would take that role in a heartbeat. So we've already got the support from Liam Neeson, we just need Dave Filoni on board. Windu is your personal favorite Jedi? Honestly, I think my favorite Jedi is Qui-Gon Jinn, simply because he is the perfect embodiment of a Jedi. He's selfless, he's... cares more about the others around him than himself. He cares more about if the others around him make it out more than if he does. Totally selfless. He doesn't bend the Force to his will like the other Jedi do. He doesn't use the Force as a political pawn like the other Jedi do. And if you really think about it, that's another thing that really played into the downfall of the Jedi, was the fact that they didn't use the Force the way the Force intended, to allow it to guide them and truly give them the wisdom and the strength and the ability to do the things that a Jedi would do. bent it to their will for their own political gain, which really, if you think about it, how much better are they than the Sith? If you think about it, the Sith bend the will not for political gain, but for what they believe is the best thing for the galaxy. They bend the will of the Force for power. And power, at the end of the day, is the one thing that kept the galaxy safe for as long as the Empire had reigned. Plo Koon, Kit Fisto, Qui-Gon, and Mace Windu are what I think are perfect Jedi. Mace Windu definitely was not a perfect Jedi. He could have been, but his inability to continue to stray from the dark side really put all of that against him. I agree with all the others, but Mace Windu was definitely not a model Jedi simply because of his tuning into the dark stream. That's all fine, Jeremiah, don't worry about it. But like I was saying, Mace Windu's constant pushing into the dark side and his arrogance and he definitely was not a model Jedi. He was a good Jedi, I'm not going to debate that, but he definitely was not a perfect Jedi by any means, in my opinion. I just think he was too arrogant, and I think he was too blinded by the thinking that he was the most powerful being on the world, like, in the world. He had a way better version of control than Anakin, that is true, but if you also think about it, Anakin was created by the Force itself. The Force created Anakin to do what it believed needed to be done, and he did exactly that. At the end of the day, even when it comes to Rey, Anakin was still the one that brought balance. I mean, and a lot of people debate that, but if you think about it, had Anakin not had the saber call out to Rey, Rey never would have found it. Actually, Darth Plagueis isn't Anakin's father. That was retconned a while ago. The book is no longer canon. There was no influence of the midichlorians to create Anakin. Yeah, in Legends he is, but like I said, the Force created Anakin, and at the end of the day, Anakin did bring balance, having his lightsaber call out to Rey, being the first one to speak to Rey, to have her get up and fight back against Palpatine. There's so many reasons that Anakin genuinely was the one to bring balance, but at the end of the day, it also boils down to he is the balance of the Force. He balanced the Force in his own life, being he spent 22 years a Jedi, 22 years a Sith. So do I. There was no reason to make Legends no longer canon. It's very disappointing, in my opinion, that they would do something like that. Very stupid and a very bad business move. Because I don't think there's any Jedi or any Star Wars story that has had more profit, really, than Revan. It's got such good fan feedback. It's got such good feedback in general. I personally really enjoy Revan's story, and I really enjoy the story of others, like, Malgus is my favorite Sith by far. Grievous could destroy species in Legends. Yeah, I know, and in in the original Clone Wars, he took on 4 Jedi, including Ki-Adi-Mundi, and kicked the shit out of them. Grievous is an absolute monster of a creature in Star Wars Star Wars in general. He's unstoppable, which is why I personally believe he could beat the absolute shit out of Luke with no effort at all. And a lot of people will disagree with me on that, and they can and they will. But Grievous would smack the shit out of Luke, dude. Like, Grievous didn't have the Force and almost killed most of the most powerful Jedi to ever live. In canon, he lost to a gang of Gungans. I know, like, Gungans? Really, dude? A bunch of Jar Jars? He's General fucking Grievous. He's such a cool character. And I genuinely say this, he would be my favorite Sith if he was a Sith. if he wasn't just some asthmatic cyborg, 100% Grievous would be my favorite Sith. Yeah, exactly. The only thing he lost in his battle with Ki-Adi-Mundi was his cape. Which is insane, because Ki-Adi-Mundi was one of the most powerful Jedi to ever live. Daddy Jar Jar. Yeah, I believe the Star Wars, the theory that Jar Jar is a Sith Lord. I'm not even kidding when I say I actually believe that. I'm probably gonna get a lot of shit for that, but it lines up. I mean, this dude used Force Jump in Episode 1. And we know that no other Gungan can jump that high. And we know that there have been Gungan Jedi, and there have been other Force-sensitive Gungans out there. I believe in an interview, George Lucas straight up said the original plan was for Jar Jar to be the mastermind behind the Sith. Dude, I wish Star Wars was real too. I'd kill for that. I would commit genocide for Star Wars to be real, bro. Like... But, like, I think one of my favorite Star Wars events, per se, is Order 66, and a lot of people are going to disagree with me on that, but I think it's the most crucial moment in all of Star Wars. Now, obviously, you're going to get the sequel fangirls that are going to say, no, it's Rey taking on Palpatine and all the Jedi surrounding around her, me, 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 me. Or the revealing of Palpatine to be Rey's grandfather, which, if we're being honest, the sequels are basically the exact definition of the meme, yeah, you can copy my homework, but change it a little bit. Like, it genuinely bothers me that people, like, say that stuff. You love that voice? I mean, it's exactly what they sound like. Me, 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 Rey is the most powerful Jedi, me, me, me. Me, 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 me. Like, it's what they sound like to me, honestly. Like, you sounded like Carl from Jimmy Neutron. Oh no, I can sound a lot more like Carl. I like Jimmy's mom. Jimmy's mom. Oh, Jimmy's mom. Are you gonna finish that croissant? Yeah, no, I can actually do a pretty good Carl Weezer, but... Me, 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 me. That's how I'm gonna talk as a sequel fangirl from now on. And that's not a sequel fan, it's a sequel fangirl, big difference. But, like I was saying, you think about these things like these crucial moments in Star Wars, and the first crucial moment that comes to mind for me is Order 66. That's because this is the moment that the galaxy changed. It changed for a very long time, being this is the exact point, the midpoint, the balance of the Force. Because if you think about it, this is when the balancing of the Force occurred. Anakin became a Sith, killed all of the other Jedi. Obi-Wan and Yoda were thought to be the only two Jedi left. Perfect balance. 2 Jedi, 2 Sith. Rule of 2. Think about that. The rule of 2 is a lot deeper than you think it is. And we know that Darth Bane is canon because they follow the rule of 2 in canon Star Wars. If you think about it, Padme is a child predator. Yes, she is. But if you also think about it, it's funny. Now, mind you, I'm not saying it's okay, but at the time, Padme was 14 when she was 5 years older than him. Most married, one of them's younger, one of them's older, and 5 years is not that much when you're an adult. So if you think about it, Anakin's 19, Padme is 23, 24. It's not that bad of a difference in age when they're adults. But Ahsoka, on the other hand, That's straight pedophilia. Bane design in Clone Wars looked fantastic. They really nailed that shit on the head, like... Like I was saying, Order 66, it's when balance happened. There was 2 Jedi and there was 2 Sith. Perfect balance. To literally quote Thanos, perfectly balanced as all things should be balanced. Not when Anakin threw Palpatine down a reactor shaft. Not when Rey zapped the shit out of Palpatine and for some reason disintegrated him, but for some reason Mace Windu couldn't do the same. No, it was Order 66. Post-Order 66 is the exact representation of balance in Star Wars. POV, you heard someone say the Bad Batch is for kids. Are we not going to talk about the fact that they've already tried to rape Omega twice? Like, seriously. These animated Star Wars shows are definitely not for kids, especially the Clone Wars, where there's literally a sexual assault case. A 14-year-old almost gets sold into sex slavery twice. Padme gets sexually assaulted by a politician. Anakin nearly beats a man to death and commits space genocide at least 3 times. Like, it's animated, so that makes it a kid's show. Bro, no it's not. I love that. Yeah, the motion between Anakin and Vader, you could see the true struggle for control. And I think my truly favorite moment or picture in all of Star Wars is the picture of young Anakin with the shadow of Vader behind him, because it's such a perfect representation of who he is and who he is to become. If you think about it, everybody thinks Duel of Fates is about Qui-Gon's death. But that's not what Duel of Fates is about. Duel of Fates is about the fate of Anakin Skywalker. If Qui-Gon loses that duel, which he did, Anakin's fate changes forever. If both him and Obi-Wan lose that duel, Anakin becomes a Sith Lord from childhood. Imagine the terrible things that could have happened had Obi-Wan not bested Maul, and Obi-Wan was merely a Padawan. I mean, at that time, his greatest strength really was his lightsaber combat, because in all of Star Wars canon, you can find it. Obi-Wan was often mocked by Qui-Gon because of how weak he was in the Force as a Padawan. Like, he was straight bullied by the other Jedi. And the transition from Anakin to Vader, yeah, the head tilt. And you can see it in Rebels, too, when Anakin looks up and says, Ahsoka. And when Ahsoka says, I won't leave you, not again. And Anakin reminisces about that moment when she abandoned him and left the Jedi Order. You could see him tilt his head down and he retreats back into Vader, which he does often. You see often Anakin breaking free. It's why you hear Vader often say, Anakin Skywalker is dead. That name no longer has any meaning to me. Because Vader kills and suppresses Anakin every time he breaks loose. And Anakin has to go through that internal pain every time he loses to Vader. Anakin never truly bested Vader until Luke did. You can hear Anakin inside of Vader. You can hear him when he says Ahsoka. And I love that they brought Matt Lanner back simply for that cameo, because I think that that's a perfect time to bring him back, and I think that it was a perfect way to bring him back. And like I was saying, Anakin has lost to Vader more times than he could count. But Luke is the one that helped Anakin to win. And at the end of the day, it truly was never a battle between Luke and Vader for the fate of the galaxy. It was a battle between Anakin and Vader, Anakin's internal struggle. Because every time he lost that battle with Vader, I say again, he had to go through that internal struggle again. Every time he lost, he had to go through that pain he felt when that mask came on him the first time, which is another one of my favorite little tidbits in Star Wars, or one of my favorite little, like, sneaks, little Easter eggs, is when the mask is being dropped onto Vader, or pressed onto Vader's face, you could hear him say, "Padme, help me." You can hear him scream it, in fact. But it's so muffled because his lungs are so heavily charred and broken from the flames of Mustafar that you can just barely hear it, so it comes out, "Padme, help me." Like, the effort they put into hiding these things for us to find in Star Wars 2 is unbelievable to me. I mean, truly, visual, special, and audio effects people in Star Wars deserve so much love for this stuff. I really should start a podcast, shouldn't I? I can talk a lot. When you hear a girl say Rey Skywalker in British yelling voice, I believe it's pronounced Rey Palpatine. Nah, I'm going fucking full-on, American drill sergeant, but nah, it's not Rey Palpatine or Rey Skywalker, it's Rey Solo. I wonder how that guy who tried selling Obi-Wan space crack is doing during the... When Obi-Wan says Luke's dad is dead, and Luke finds out Darth Vader is his dad, he says, "I thought you said my dad was dead," and he goes... And he does, because Anakin was no longer, it was Darth Vader. Yeah, exactly. That exact line is a perfect representation of Star Wars in general. Because Star Wars isn't the story of the Jedi versus the Sith. It's not the story of the Force. It's not the story of it's not the story of Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's not the story of Luke Skywalker. It's not the story of Leia Organa, Han Solo, Rey, whatever the hell you want to call her, or Poe Dameron, or Finn, or Luke. It's not the story of any of them. It's the story of Anakin Skywalker. Because he's such a prevalent figure in all of these movies, being the main driving force behind Kylo's want to take over the galaxy, and the sequels being the main threat in the originals, and being our hero in the prequels. It's the story of Anakin's suffering. And if you disagree with that, I'm sorry, but you're just wrong. Because even George Lucas himself has said that this is not the story of any of these characters. It's not the story of the Force. It's not the story of the Jedi or the Sith or their constant struggle for power, or even the galaxy in general. Star Wars is the story of the suffering and the pain and the life of Anakin Skywalker. It's almost like a memoir. And that's one of the biggest reasons I truly love Star Wars. It's not just something that some guy made up one day. It's not just something that, you know, you can watch and get what's going on. It's got such a deep, true, and rich lore to it, and such an explorable and lovable lore, and all these characters and all this. But at the end of the day, it truly does boil down to one simplistic ideology, and like I said, it's the suffering of Anakin. It's Anakin's life story. It's who he is and how he became Anakin Skywalker. I need a podcast. That's what I was saying earlier. I might start one. If I can get some other people on board and I can get all the stuff set up, I definitely will try it. I'll probably make a separate YouTube channel for it and do it, but if you guys want to see that, definitely. I wonder what I'll call it. I want to call it the Rule of Two so bad, but I already know that's taken by Star Wars Theory. Maybe I'll get a sequel fan. I love the scene in the original trilogy when Luke is dueling Vader and he gets the high ground and he says, "Obi-Wan has taught you well." Yeah, I love that. That's literally such a funny-ass scene. If you look at it and, you know, retrospect. I mean, at the time when people were watching it, they unfortunately didn't have the privilege of getting the joke. And honestly, it's why Daddy Jar Jar and Daddy Kenobi. But honestly, I love watching that scene because if you think about it, it really is the perfect representation of the meme. George Lucas talking to the OT, "Oh, you may not like this, but your children are gonna fucking love it." Like, it's so perfect because that's really what it is. He made a joke that was so ahead of its time. But like I was saying, I think my favorite story in all of Star Wars is Star Wars itself. Because Anakin Skywalker is a true representation of pain and suffering. And if you think about it, there's different lessons to learn from every single one of these characters. You can learn anything really from it, you can learn from Anakin that even the worst of people can have the best of redemptions and become the best version of themselves, or it's from Luke where you can learn that your parents' legacy is not your defining trait, it's not who you become. You can learn from Obi-Wan that wisdom is such an overwhelming trait compared to any sort of power, that no matter how much shit you can go through, you can always get back up and fight. Yoda, you can learn truly that wisdom is truly the greatest strength, and it's something I love about Star Wars, is it's not just, it's not just this nerdy-ass thing, is space and laser swords. It's truly got something for everybody. Yeah, that is true. All of the original Sith/villains and Grievous are all Vader combined into one, and you're right about that. Dooku is his formality. Maul is his rage. Grievous is obviously his cyborg, his drawbacks. And at the end of the day, Palpatine is his suffering. Which is something really cool to think about that Lucas had thrown in there. And another thing that, like I said, there's all these things that, Palpatine or not Palpatine, or that Lucas throws in there for us to pick up on that we really don't notice until we truly look at things in retrospect. It's why he's truly one of my favorite writers, one of my favorite writers and producers of all time, is he puts so many things in there for us to discover in retrospect. It's absolutely astonishing. And like I said, Star Wars has something for everybody. Whether it be in the original trilogy, you're learning from Luke and Vader, or in the sequel trilogy, you're learning from Kylo and Rey, or in the prequel trilogy, you're learning from Anakin and Obi-Wan. Thanks for stopping by, Original Freak, saying hi, man. I don't know. I think I'm gonna start a podcast. If you guys want it, I'll post a poll on the TikTok. Go vote on that. The TikTok is also PrequelFreak. If you don't follow it already, I don't know what the hell you're doing. Thanks for stopping by. Star Wars is great, man. I'm definitely very glad I had you. If you hadn't started talking about that Mace Windu concept art, I don't think we would have spiraled this great-ass conversation out of it. I just wanted to say thank you to all y'all who actually stop by every stream and say hi and hang out and shit. I mean, that means the world to me. Just to be able to sit down and interact with my audience is my favorite thing ever about this, is just interacting with you guys and talking to you. I'll see you later, Star Wars. But, I mean, back to my original, topic of this rant, conversation, whatever you want to call it. And Star Wars truly has something for everybody. It's, again, you're learning in the prequels from Anakin and Obi-Wan. You're learning from Anakin that no matter where you are, no matter how you're raised, at the end of the day, you become your own unique person. At the end of the day, your friends and your family come before everything else, because they're the only things that are going to truly be there for you. Whether you learn from Obi-Wan in the prequels that even through the greatest and most harmful and most painful moments of your life, you can overcome them and come out better than you were before. Or you're learning from Luke in the original trilogy that no matter who they are and no matter where they come from, the legacy your parents leave behind is not your defining trait. It's not who you have to become. Or you learn from Vader that even the worst of people can have the best of redemption stories. They can become the best, absolute best versions of themselves. You can learn from, Han Solo that even the scummiest and the lowest of criminals can still become better people. You learn from Leia that the strongest and highest will, having a strong and positive willpower, is going to carry you everywhere. And in the sequels, I mean, it's hard for me to think of anything in the sequels, because like I said, they are literally just a carbon copy of the original trilogy, but, you learn from Kylo that the life you lived, or the life that somebody of your family lives, is not the life that you have to fulfill. You don't have to constantly seek validation when it's always there in front of you. You can truly become a better person if you want to. Ray, you can learn that even the lowest of people can get to the highest of places in the world if they have the right mindset. I can't think of anything else for the sequels, if I'm being completely honest. But I mean, yeah, like I said, there truly is something for everybody in Star Wars, and if you gatekeeper, you do anything like that, you're honestly the most despicable person ever. Because Star Wars is truly something that you don't need to be such a gigantic fan of to enjoy and truly love. I mean, growing up, I wasn't nearly the Star Wars fan I am now. I mean, when I was first introduced to Star Wars, I was probably about 9 years old. And the first Star Wars movie I ever watched was, I think it was Empire Strikes Back. And I thought that it was the coolest thing ever. And it's what I wanted. And I started learning about the Star Wars canon. I started learning about the characters and who they are and what they do and how they got to where they are. And I became hooked. The fastest hunk of junk in the galaxy can do the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs. But, I mean, even then, like I said, like at 10 years old, I was going through a lot of shit that I will talk about in the upcoming podcast if you guys want it. Star Wars got me through it. I mean, I had comfort characters. I had comfort in the character of Anakin Skywalker because I could relate to a lot of the things he went through. I mean, growing up in a shitty, hostile environment, never really getting a true childhood, per se. I mean, I always felt for Anakin in a way that I felt for myself. I saw myself in him. I saw himself in me. You saw Empire Strikes Back with your grandpa. Yeah, exactly. I didn't see it with my grandfather. I believe I found it, I believe I found it when it was still on Netflix in some parts of the U.S. And I thought that it would be something that I could find interest in. I figured I'd watch the movie. No, it was on Xfinity On Demand because I was looking for a movie, and one of my buddies said that Star Wars was a good movie, and I said alright, and I gave it a shot, and again, like I said, I became hooked. I mean, it became such a relatable thing for me. I absolutely loved every aspect of it. Alright, so I'm going to leave this episode here. If you guys want to see a podcast, let me know. You know, if that's what y'all want, let me know. I could definitely start a podcast. I could talk for hours and hours and hours about this stuff and have absolutely no stopping point. So, let me know if y'all want to see a podcast. I'm totally down for that if you are. Thank y'all for watching. I'll come back with a part 2 if you guys want to see a part 2 of the Minecraft series. I know I kind of just talked through this whole thing and I didn't do any actual gaming commentary. I just kind of talked while I played. But if you guys want to see a part 2, let me know. Yeah, everyone be safe. God bless. May the Force be with you. And I hope you have a fantastic day. Thank you so much for watching. And I love all of you. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and goodbye.